Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thanks for tuning into a video tonight. Tonight's video is going to be an update on Rose. We're going to be taking a look at the short term and the long term, taking a look at the chart, the structure, the technicals, and a whole range more. The last update we did on Rose was about 10 days ago. We're going to be talking about how the price has progressed since there and what we expect to happen in the future. Before we get into the technical analysis tonight, I do want to draw your attention to the pinned message on this video. We have a 25% discount to our VIP channel on Telegram with nearly 400 members. We only got 2 more spots to give away. We've already given away 8 discounts today. We only got 2 left to give away. It will expire in 36 hours. If you are interested in our VIP channel where we do technical analysis, trade signals, market updates, direct message contact access to me, and exclusive market chart updates, click the link below, join the free channel, and you can find all the information there. With that being said, we're going to dive right into the video. Let's get started. So we're going to start with the analysis we did a few days ago. This is about 10 days ago, so the 10th of April. It's now the 20th of April at the time filming this video. We said Rose was going to drop down a little bit, bounce a little bit, and then continue. So currently what we've seen that initial drop down that we've said. We've seen that bounce now that we just basically saw today. And we do expect either this pattern to continue, which is this drop down into this demand zone, a bounce from that demand zone and continue upwards, or we would need a break above, we would need to see a break above this zone here. Here it is. All right, so that 26.33 range is obviously also major resistance. And we can see, obviously we had this initial market pattern over here saying if we broke above this range here, we would see a push upwards, but we didn't see that. We followed this path downwards, obviously into demand, push upwards, support, resistance, flip. As we break out the descending channel, can send us back upwards. I do want to mention the bearish scenario first. Obviously this is a major demand zone and Bitcoin is obviously in a pretty tough spot right now. It had a bit of a push upwards in the last few hours, but it hasn't really cleared that $42,000 major resistance zone. If we don't clear that 42,000 major resistance zone, we're still finding resistance on the 100-day moving average on the 4-hour chart. With that being said, we can still push downwards, and if we push downwards from here, Rose will also retrace, and Rose will retrace more percentage-wise in comparison to obviously Bitcoin or Ethereum, or these larger market cap coins. It is a smaller market cap coin, they're generally more volatile. So we do expect a push downwards, obviously the bearish scenario into this range, which will be our demand zone, and we'll either potentially find support in this range, push upwards, continue, break out of this nice descending channel that we're forming, or we can even push lower into this through this demand zone, which we'll obviously talk about in a separate video if that occurs. So what I'd be watching out for here, guys, is this is our major support. Right? We don't have any real support below where we are now. We have a minor support sitting at around 22 cents. Not a major support, just quite a minor support. If we lose that support, we're heading into this support zone, which is about 20 cents to 19.5 cents, a very strong demand zone. All right. If we lose this demand zone, I would strongly suggest selling Rose, especially if we close a candle below on the daily. I'd be looking to sell the coin, and then I'd be looking to buy back where we find some support or some strength on the Bitcoin chart, or even some divergences on Rose, because it's really hard to tell how low it's going to go. We don't have too much data here. There's a huge gap. The next major support zone is all the way down here at 6 to 5 cents. Obviously, we do have support zone, horizontal supports between hand, for example, that 12-cent range, and we even have a horizontal support up over here at the 16 cents. So realistically, we could see a move downwards to any of these ranges if we lose this major support range, which is dictated by this gray box. All right, so we've also dictated by that demand. In saying that, guys, of course, if we do bounce from this range here, we can push upwards, and this descending channel, can't hold for too much longer. It will break eventually, and it will break to the upside, hopefully. So we're looking at a break upwards. If you're a conservative investor, if you have not bought Rose yet, you're waiting for the perfect time, wait for a break of the descending channel as well as this red horizontal resistance. All right, when we have a break of both the descending channel and a red horizontal resistance, it's going to be a pretty strong pretty strong buy signal that you can enter the market and you can push higher. It is about a 10%, 15% move up from here, so you are risking, missing out on this percentage gain. But if you do buy now, guys, you are, risking anything between, 10 to 15% drop. So it's about a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Therefore, the trade is on the fence. There's no favorable choice. It's really up to you. If you're in the market now, you can decide to hold it, or you can decide to sell and rebuy up here, or you can just hold it and sell if you lose this major support zone. And of course, if you're waiting, I would be waiting to buy this demand zone with a tight stop loss just underneath, or looking to buy on a breakout of the descending channel. So that's about it for Rose today, guys. That's our market analysis. We're going to look at the technicals now and just try to decipher the probability of all these things actually occurring. All right, so and just zooming out, we can obviously see on the structure again one more time, we have a pretty huge descending channel. All right, we have a massive overextension over here, and this was of course in January. The price really went parabolic, but we got pretty strongly rejected back into this channel, and we know we got rejected back into the channel because we have these points of deviation and these points of rejection all lining up on this descending trend line. All right, so bullish case scenario for Rose. For the long term, we do need to break over this trigger. The trigger is 31.85 cents. If we break the trigger, we will most likely push to new highs, all right? Or if not, push close to new highs. So looking at that for the longer term, obviously a lot has to happen before we can consider that to start with. Let's dive right into the technicals. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's figure out what's happening on the technical side of the chart. Let's start with RSI, guys. So let's see, RSI, what can we see already? Like I said, I just run through these charts with you guys. I don't really pre-plan much. This video was pre-planned in regards to the chart, just because I had already charted all this up for my Twitter post, but usually it's a blank slate and we kind of go through it together. So what I'm seeing on Rose is what I see on so many altcoins right now, which is this long descending resistance on the RSI. Now the RSI is really, really important when it comes to confirming breakouts. All right, that is what I use the RSI for, to confirm breakouts. When the RSI breaks these structural zones, it indicates momentum is favorable, positive momentum. When you have positive momentum and a breakout on the chart, generally the trend will continue upwards. Otherwise, you had these periods where you get these bear traps or bull traps. All right, we don't want to be buying into bull traps. We want to be buying when the momentum is favorable. All right, so looking at this descending trend line, we would also like to see a break over this trend line around the same time or a little bit earlier than we break out of this downward sloping resistance, and that would indicate a pretty strong buy signal. As for the RSI on the short-term time frame, we're going to go take a look real quickly on the 4-hour and see what we're seeing. We can see we had a little bit, no we didn't. We didn't really have much of a divergence here. We didn't have any divergence really. We did have like a triple bottom formation here on the RSI, of course, with a declining price. We had a little bump over here, nothing too intense. And let's take a look at the smaller time frame, see what happened over here. We got rejected. So as we can see, pretty strong rejection. We are finding support here. There's a good chance we can bounce a little bit off this 100-day moving average. This could be the local bottom, considering Bitcoin is actually retesting the descending trend line of the symmetrical triangle, of the descending wedge formation it's in right now. So I would say locally, we can see a little bit of support here. We can see a little bit of a bounce here and continuation upwards. So if you're in Rose and you saw this massive crash, I wouldn't be worried too much. I'd only really be worried if Bitcoin closes under about 41,500. Until then, I think we could definitely bounce upwards from here and just engulf this whole downward action. But we have to just wait and see, guys. So zooming back out to the daily, let's take a look at some more technicals. Let's go to the MACD next. All right, let's take a look and see what the MACD is showing us. So it doesn't look like it's loading. There we are. All right, MACD is looking okay, guys. Convergence upwards. We do have a little bit of a kink in the convergence here. Convergence, sorry, here. But that kink was from that drop on Bitcoin, which obviously faked out and continued back upwards the other day. I'm not convinced by the daily on the MACD. I would still really like to see that price push over the 0-point line to get into some positive, so positive buying pressure zone. That is what I'd like to see for the MACD, obviously confirming more of an uptrend or a stable uptrend or some positive buying pressure. We can see we got rejected off the 100-day moving average, which obviously is a very bearish sign, and we are of course underneath the 200-day moving average with a potential death cross incoming. So the price can definitely continue out downwards here. I would say we're more inclined to continue downwards to this demand zone than we are to push upwards to this resistance zone right now. That is just what the data is telling me. That is what the technicals are showing. And that's definitely what the chart is saying. And if we take a look at Bitcoin, although Bitcoin had a strong push upwards, it is still underneath that major resistance at around 42,150 to 42,500. And as long as we stay underneath that resistance, we can't expect Rose to perform well. It's just simple. We can't expect altcoins or Rose to perform well as long as Bitcoin remains under that zone. When Bitcoin breaks over that zone, I will be a little bit more bullish on Rose. I would think we would see more upswing But until now, I think this recent move upwards was nothing more than just a little bit of a scare tactic, a little bit of a trap to get people in the market before we see a little bit more of a drop downwards into this demand as per our initial price prediction on Twitter. So guys, if you have any questions about today's video, leave them down below. I didn't try and make today's video too long. I tried to keep it a little bit short, and a lot of the things, like I said, we already had chart on the charts. So go ahead, take a screenshot of this, load it onto your chart, fill it out. This is what we're looking for. Just to reiterate everything, we have our POC line, all right, at 26,331, all right, major zone, all right, major zone for our short-term bullishness. We break that, we break the descending wedge, all right, really important we flip that. We have our trigger at 31.85. This is our long-term major resistance. We flip that, we push up to all-time highs, all right, and then we have our major demand zone at 19.5 to 20, all right? If we bounce in this zone, it's going to be a nice bullish bounce or a continuation higher. And obviously, if we lose this zone, that is your sell signal if you're holding rows right now. All right, guys, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.